Staying upright and moving throughout labor is the best way to have an efficient labor and birth of your baby. Make sure to work with gravity and allow your body to work by itself and with the laws of nature. Hi, I'm Alex. I am a childbirth educator, a doula, a mom of two, and I am passionate about helping other mamas give birth fearlessly. So let's get into it. Today, I want to take a minute to do a little bit of a different form of video. Today, I want to walk you through some different movements that you can do throughout early labor, throughout active labor, throughout transition, and even pushing. So why move? Let's get into a couple of these things first. Moving is awesome. Staying stagnant on a bed, laying on your back, can make contractions hurt a heck of a lot more, can seem really intense, and can increase the likelihood that you might want pain relief. So in this video, I'm going to speak specifically to women who are wanting to achieve unmedicated natural vaginal births. So in order to really try and achieve an unmedicated birth, the best thing to do is work with your body. Move your hips, move your body, lean on people, do what you need to do to stay comfortable. It's going to take a lot of work in labor to make sure that you continue to move, especially when the contractions get more intense. And this is where mindset comes in, as I've talked about in previous videos, including my how to prepare for labor video, which you can watch right here. But the biggest thing is to go into labor, whether it's your first baby or your fifth baby, with the mindset of, I can do this, my body is capable of doing this, and there's a limited number of contractions I have to go through before my baby is in my arms. It is finite. It's not infinite. You're not going to be in labor for the rest of your life. You will be seeing your baby very soon. You just have to get through the most intense mountain or hurdle, which is labor. So making sure to move is really important for really 5 main reasons. 1, it allows you to work with gravity. When I say work with gravity, I mean you want that baby's head pushing hard on your cervix. Number 2, it allows you to move and get into comfortable positions as you move through labor. Number 3 is that it actually really opens up space for your support people to come and do things to help you. So imagine laying in bed, your doula, if you hire one, isn't necessarily going to be able to come and do a double hip squeeze or sacral counter pressure. She'll do her best, but it's a lot more difficult when you're laying down. Number 4 is that, believe it or not, it does, in my opinion, make it seem to go a little bit faster. When you are focusing solely on the contractions, each contraction can feel like it's taking forever. But when you're deciding to dance with your partner or maybe do some walking, it can make the time go a little bit faster. And finally, it is really good to get baby just moving down and getting labor really going. Sometimes when you lay down or stop moving your body, you can have like gaps in contractions, and that's really because you aren't allowing baby's head to push down efficiently on your cervix. So when we talk about the mindset piece, one thing that I would get you to consider doing is hiring a doula or sitting down with your birth partner, whether that be your spouse or your mom or significant other. And the reason for this is because you need someone who is going to be your coach throughout labor. For them to say, hey, how about we try X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, how about after these set of contractions, let's move to over here, or let's try this. And for you to say, I am going to, no matter what happens in labor, I am going to listen to what this person, whether that's your doula or your other support person, tells me we are going to try. Doing that really helps get you out of your head. And by getting out of your head, it actually really helps to decrease the pain. When you're not focused on the intensity of a contraction, you're not going to be prepping for a contraction and tensing like I just showed you there, but you're going to be able to just breathe, focus on something outside of the contraction, which will then make it a little bit easier, in my opinion. So hiring a doula or really helping your partner feel educated is my number one tip when it comes to movement. Doesn't matter if you have a doula that is there who is coaching you through and telling you all these things. If you say no, they can't force you to move. So you really have to go into labor saying, yes, I can do this. I'm going to do what my doula tells me to try. I'm going to tell her if it's too much or, if I don't like it, and she's going to give me a better option. Or if it's your partner, the same thing. Going into labor just by saying, I am going to trust this person to do it. Because if you spend money on a doula and you are like, I am not doing anything, then why? Why did you buy a doula package, right? So now let's get into some movement that I encourage you to try and do throughout labor. So if I, for example, was to be hired as your doula, one of the first things that I would get you on when you call me saying that you think labor is starting is a birth ball. A birth ball is a really good way to make sure that baby's head is engaged. I'd get you sitting on that birth ball, maybe bouncing a little bit if you haven't already been bouncing for weeks on end and trying to get labor going. But I would get you to sit on that birth ball, just try and take some of the tension off of your hips. And then I would encourage you to do some hip circles or figure eights or even some pelvic tilts. Now, by sitting on the birth ball, it's giving you an opportunity to rest. This is really important in early labor, as I've talked about in many videos, some of which you can see linked up here. Now, if you were already having some back pain in labor, something that I would suggest if I was your doula is to get down and lean over that ball to really allow space in your belly to pull baby off of your spine and give your back a little bit of a rest. So in this position, if it's comfortable, you can stay here as long as you want. So even if you're in a hospital, you can ask for a birth ball. Although most of the time you won't be doing early labor at the hospital, you'll probably be at home. So this is a great thing to do. Another thing that you can do in early labor is to just do some curb walking or ladder stepping or step stepping. So if you have a stool or something that is sturdy, that you can lift that leg up and down, lifting the leg up and putting it back down is a really great way to open your pelvis in different ways to really wedge baby's head down as low as we can get it. Moving in this way allows you to move as is comfortable. So if by lifting a leg, you're realizing maybe there's some pain or there's some sharpness, your doula can suggest something else as well. Another really great thing to maybe get used to while you're in the early stages of labor and contractions aren't too intense is to feel free to dance with your partner. Even if it's just you leaning on them and swaying back and forth, this is a great way to move in early labor. So moving into active labor, you can do all of the things that I just suggested, but those might get increasingly more difficult, the bigger movements, as contractions grow more and more intense. So some of the things that I would suggest if I was your doula, obviously case by case dependent, not all birth is the same and not every person's labor is the same either. One of my favorite things to do with a client in active labor is to really get them to do some forward leaning. So during a contraction, to be at the end of your bed and have your hands on the bed, feet planted firmly on the floor, and swaying through the contraction. So taking that 30 seconds to 60 seconds and swaying while breathing really beautifully through each and every single one of those contractions. Something that you can add again to this very gentle sway is to just have a stool under your foot and be able to just lift one foot for one contraction and then lift the next foot through the next contraction. As active labor becomes more and more intense, another really great small movement that you can do is being on all fours and swaying your hips or shaking your hips. So this is something you can get your doula to do, or your partner. They can just come up from behind with their hands on your bottom and just shake your hips if that feels good to you. This is also a really great position for a doula to be able to do a double hip squeeze. So you see, these different movements aren't huge. It's not like I'm getting you to do jumping jacks throughout your labor experience, but it's just different than laying on your back or on your side in bed. As you go through transition, a really good space to do very small movements is on the toilet. This is a place that you can have a squatty potty under your feet and try and lean into each of those contractions, which it does get increasingly difficult as the time goes on. But that's another really great way to not be laying in bed for this, especially if you're hoping for an unmedicated birth. So those are just some of my favorite movements that you can do throughout labor. But really what I want this takeaway to be from this movements during labor video is simply this: move as your body is comfortable. And in order to find what your body is comfortable, you're going to have to push through the discomfort. Contractions are intense, and setting yourself up with the mental capacity as well as the physical supports to move with your body is the best thing that you can do if you're hoping for an unmedicated birth. If you do decide that you are wanting to lay down for a little bit, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is really good to rest, but one awesome way is to lay down on your side lying exaggerated, with a bunch of pillows or a peanut ball under your one leg and pillows under your belly and hips to try and support it as much as you can. This is just a really great way to open your pelvis, and it also allows your partner to come in and do some massage, or to again shake your hips, or do whatever might help your comfort at that time. Another great thing that you can try doing if you're wanting to be on your bed is go on all fours again and lean over a pillow with your hands and head pretty much flush with the bed. You can stuff some pillows between your belly and the bed, and propping those knees up at a 90-degree with your bum high in the air is also another great thing that allows you to do some swaying on bed, but still allows you to rest. So like I said, the biggest thing that I wanted you to take away from this video is that moving is best in labor, especially if you are wanting an unmedicated birth. And the suggestions that I am giving here are simply just that, suggestions. You don't have to do any of them. You could do all of them. But if you hired a doula, make sure you have this conversation with them before you go into labor. Honestly, probably at one of your prenatal meetings, to say, hey, I'm really wanting to make sure that I am moving throughout labor. Will you make sure that you are able to coach me? And I can pretty much guarantee that every doula out there will be so happy to hear that. And if you're not hiring a doula, make sure to have these conversations with your birth partner that is coming with you. So hiring a doula, or making sure that your partner knows what exactly you are wanting to do, is great. Something that I did with my last baby was I took big poster boards. I took 3 of them, and for each stage of labor, I wrote down what I wanted to be doing, what kind of things I wanted my partner to be doing, what kind of things I wanted my husband to be doing, and what kind of things I wanted as medical aids if I needed them throughout each stage of labor. So for example, in early labor, I had it written down that I wanted to use lavender essential oil to help me calm. I wanted to listen to the Christian hypnobirthing app while I was in early labor, and I wanted to do a lot of forward leaning on my bow. And in that, I also wrote that I wanted my husband to take the kids, if they weren't already asleep, if I started labor during the day, and just give me the space to get into a really good mindset. So I had set myself up for that, so that when contractions were beginning, I just had to pull up my poster board, and all of my birth team knew exactly what I was wanting. And I was not asked a single question, which was very nice. So I encourage you to do something like that too. There is not a lot of ways that you can go into labor and guarantee that you're going to have the best experience. But one thing that you can do is just go into it with any expectations that you have written down and made known to your doula and your birth partner, especially your spouse, in order to get the desired birth of your dreams. So that is pretty much all. I just went on a little tangent there, but that's what I wanted to talk about with movement. If you are interested in learning more about how to move in labor and you're in the Edmonton area, please go and check out my website where you can look at my doula services and book a one-on-one with me so that I can help you set yourself up for the best birth that you desire. Just by simply booking a one-on-one with me, we can set you up with a plan and how to have those conversations with your care team, especially your significant other or maybe your doula. So you can go check that out. The link is in my bio. And I hope that you liked this video. If you love my content, make sure that you subscribe, hit the little notification bell and the thumbs up so that you know whenever I put out a new video. Comes out every Wednesday, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye!